Thank you so much for joining us here on Sly Media TV. In this program, Home Away from Home, Sly Media TV takes an opportunity to visit various prisons in an effort to make a follow-up on the good works that the prisons are doing in terms of offering educational opportunities to inmates, as well as vocational training and life skills in order to equip the inmates until the time they are released from prison, to make it easy for them to reintegrate into the society. To speak about these things, we always make a follow-up to the inmates themselves to find out how they have been impacted, their vision, and what they envisage to see in the future or to do for their families or for them as individuals. We also take this opportunity to make a follow-up through the authorities in the prisons to give us an update of how far we have gone through this initiative that has taken place in Zimbabwe through the office of the president himself, Comrade E.D. Mnangagwa, cascading down through the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Ziyambi, cascading down to the Commissioner General himself, Moses C.N. Chihovu, in an effort to see this initiative go through as planned. I've had an opportunity today in the heart of Zimbabwe, which is the Midlands, so to speak. We are in Gweru at Wawa Medium Prison, where I've had an opportunity to have a conversation with the Superintendent Tine Isaiah Makereza to deliberate on issues, just to have a conversation of how far they have gone with this initiative. Let me take this opportunity to take the superintendent in charge here, or we can say officer in charge at Wawa Medium Prison, to this program. Superintendent, where do I start? Officer in charge or superintendent? How do I...
It's officer in charge of Wawa Medium Prison, Superintendent T.I. Makereza.
I can't say it any better. Thank you so much. We are here as a follow-up to the good initiative that you are pursuing as Zimbabwe Prisons and Correctional Services. Long ago, there used to be punitive measures where prison was a zone for punishment for people that have been involved in various criminal activities. But over the years, it has changed. Why is it so that you are offering these educational opportunities, vocational training, and also offering life skills to the inmates?
Thank you so much, Silvester, for the good question. But I think I have to give you a brief background of the Zimbabwe Prisons and Correctional Services. The Zimbabwe Prison and Correctional Services is established in terms of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, Section 227, subsection 1, paragraph A, sorry. We have got a constitutional mandate of protecting the society from criminal elements through their incarceration, rehabilitation, and reintegration. Basically, we have got three main objectives to achieve our mandate. That is incarceration, rehabilitation, and reintegration. But may I explain on the part of the protection of the society? We have got what we call short-term protection of the society and long-term protection of the society. When it comes to short-term protection of the society, it is simply mere incarceration of an offender who would have committed an offense, is sent to prison by the courts. The moment that person is serving his term in prison, we would be protecting the society from such criminal elements. But that is not adequate in terms of protecting the society, because basically the community is just protected while that person is serving his prison term. So we moved a step further to protect the society through what I've said is long-term protection of the society. long-term protection of society entails various issues. It entails the issue of ensuring that there is a total mindset change on the part of the inmate. There is a total behavioral change on the part of the inmate. How as ZPCs do we do that? Basically, then it comes to the issue of rehabilitation. We've got various forms of rehabilitation that we do in prisons. We impart skills to inmates. We've got artisans, we've got carpenters, we've got bricklayers, we've got motor mechanics, we have auto electrics, we have got psychologists, we have got ministers of religion. So our inmates are trained in various skills that I've mentioned. May I point out to you that right here to your prison complex, we have got a vocational training center, that is Wawa Workshop Vocational Training Center. This is an institution that is recognized by the Ministry of Higher and Tertiary Education. We have got inmates that attend lessons at that institution. They sit for their theories, and then after having gone through the mill and passed the theories, they are trade tested under Hexagon. They are given your classes ranging from class 3, class 2, class 1, journeyman. This is the same qualification that is that can be acquired by people who are outside prisons.
Okay.
Yes. So, hence the issue of rehabilitation and giving your skills to inmates. We also have inmates that undergo educational courses, academic courses,
Right.
O-level and A-level. Right here, we have some inmates who came to prison. Some left school, maybe at grade 7. Some were doing Form 2. But we have got living testimonies. Those inmates are now doing A-levels. Some of them, they've got minimum of 5 O-levels, with English, maths, and science included.
Right.
So that is the shift that has been put in place by our Commissioner General, so that we move away from that punitive system, old system, where prisoners used to come to prison as punishment and to be punished. But the paradigm shift that we've taken is that prisoners, they come to prison as punishment and to be rehabilitated. Just mere incarceration on its own is punishment. So we don't need to punish inmates because the inmates are punished by the courts. So ours is to ensure that the society is protected through their incarceration, which is some sort of punishment. And then we bring the aspect of rehabilitation so that when they are rehabilitated and when they go outside, they will have acquired skills that they will use when they're outside. But we don't just end on the aspect of rehabilitation, because one has been rehabilitated, but there is that element of stigma that is attached to former inmates, to people who have served their prison terms. They are stigmatized when they go outside. In most cases, some of them, they're outcasts. But as ZPCS, we ensure that the reintegration process, the process of taking somebody who has spent his time in prison and is about to go to prison, we ensure that we create a synergy, a bond between the inmate and the outside world. And if I can talk of the family week that we held from the 19th of August to the 25th of August this year. The family week was put in place by our visionary, Commissioner General, Moses Siringoite Chiwamvu, as a pre-release measure for the inmates, preparing them for life after imprisonment, because we are talking of somebody whom we would have incarcerated, somebody whom we would have rehabilitated, but that person has to go outside prison, that person has to go back to the community. So we have to ensure that that person is accepted by the community. Hence, the point I've raised earlier on the aspects of 3 objectives, that's incarceration, rehabilitation, and reintegration. So reintegration is the last objective of the ZPCS, of ensuring that whatever we did, that's the incarceration aspect and the rehabilitation aspect, are fully complemented, so that when that person goes outside, is accepted by the community. Mere acceptance by the community on somebody who would have served his prison term, on somebody who has acquired skills, on somebody whose mindset has been changed by our psychologists, by our ministers of religion, by our artisans, somebody who has acquired skills to use outside there, and is accepted outside. It means that person, the chances of that person to reoffend are very slim. And I'll take you back on the aspect of Family Week that we held last week. The Family Week basically it's a pre-release process, but the main objective of that Family Week is to create a bond between an inmate who is serving his or her prison term in prison and the relatives. It assists inmates to feel loved by their relatives. It assists inmates to feel loved by their spouses outside, by their children, by their uncles, by their cousins and nieces and so forth. So, for example, at this station, I had about 619 inmates who were visited, and I had 1,082 visitors, which is quite a number
compared to
other prisons. That alone was highly impressed by the inmates. They were jovial. They were happy with their spouses, because I believe there are some inmates who were incarcerated. By the time they were incarcerated, they left their spouses pregnant.
Ndakasiya mudzimai uyo anovanonzi akatobatsirwa last month. Ndakapinda 2023 muna January.
2020 muna January. Wakasiya azvitakura.
Ndakasiya akazvitakura.
Okay, saka kwane mwana
mukomana.
Makurukota. Saka unzi babani?
Prince.
Baba Prince.
Iye haana kutokwanisa kuuya, munhu akauya ndimai vachitopa family week vachitondiudza kuti mudzimai wako ave nemwana. Asi ndinovatenda nekuti inini handaisafunga kuti ariko kumba, ozi mwana wechidiki. Ndaitofunga kuti pamwe akatorwawo nehama dzavo akaenda kumba kwavo, but vakataura zvikanzi ariko kumba. Sekutaura kwake ari kuti ndichagara ndichakumirira kusvika.
And they've served a year or so in prison. They've never seen their kids. So the Family Week that was put in place by our CG gave them the opportunity to interact, to see their kids.
Wow.
But it is something that is difficult, Silvester, to just hear that your wife was blessed with a baby boy or a baby girl. And when your wife, your spouse visits you in prison during the normal visit, children are not allowed into prison.
Okay.
You won't be able to see your child, but during the Family Week, we allowed the children to enter into prison. We allowed everyone, regardless of age, to enter into prison. So it is something that relieves the pressure off the inmate, so that the inmate will feel that at least out there, back at home, things are normal. I've seen my child, I've seen my wife, I've seen my mother. So the inmate will just be concentrating on whatever that we are doing in prison. The inmate will just be concentrating on the rehabilitation activities and on saving his time. That alone, Silvester, it is also very important and very useful on our part as correctional officers. It reduces the risks of prisoners escaping from prison. Because basically, the family issues are some of the issues that causes inmates, that drive inmates to escape from prison because of uncertainty that shrouds that scenario of not knowing what is happening to your family.
All right.
So when the family comes in, an inmate is assured that things are okay.
And they have a chance to catch up on
They have a chance
certain
to
issues.
catch up.
Yeah.
And it also creates, like what I've said earlier on, alluded to, that it creates a bond so that when this guy goes out, he remains part of the family. He remains part of the community. He remains part of the society. Because unlike a scenario where relatives they just come and visit that inmate during the normal visiting days. Yes, it's good, but it doesn't create the real bond that is required for people to remain one. Yes.
So the face-to-face communication becomes more of a therapy to the inmates when they interact with the families during the family week.
Definitely, Silvester.
Yes. What support, as we are talking about families, what support as correctional officers that you may require or appeal to the community in terms of helping you or maybe say look after people that are in the prisons or the visits? You have spoken about the visits. Did everyone also have an opportunity to have visitors from family members coming to see them during the family week?
Thank you, Silvester. Like what I've said earlier on, that 619 inmates received your visitors.
Right.
I think I've got around 1,174 inmates. So what this literally translates to is that 60% of my inmates were visited.
Yes.
And the 40% were not visited. It becomes an issue when you see your colleagues in prison are being visited and you are not being visited. You begin to ask yourself questions. Why is it that I have not been visited? Is it that I become an outcast to my friends, to my relatives, to my parents and so forth? So there's need for a stakeholder approach in this regard, because not all people out there have got the resources to pay for the transport fees to come to prisons. Not all people are doing well, so that they can spare $1 or they can spare $5 to buy goodies for your relatives in prisons. So I call upon mostly the churches to play a role in this regard. I call upon the business community to play a role in this regard, because basically these people, they need love. If relatives can't afford to visit, somebody has to fill that void. Somebody has to fill that gap. So I'm glad to say during this family week, we had several churches. We had SDA, Seventh Day. We had Evangelical Lutheran Church. We had the Spirit Embassy Church that visited the inmates. What I did to assure my inmates, especially those who had not received visitors, is that I told them that you are the lucky people.
Why? Well,
yes, you didn't receive
lucky,
or visitors.
Yeah.
You didn't receive your relatives or friends. But remember, these are human beings. They are physical visitors. But you, because you have been visited by the churches, you have been visited by the greatest visitor of all. That happens to be God, the Almighty Himself. because when the churches come, it means they come with God.
Okay. Wow.
So whenever God reaches out to you, He will make some changes to you.
Wow.
So I told them
From inside out.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I told them
Yeah,
that you received the greatest visitor. Yes, they received some groceries, they received some toiletries and so forth. But what you received from these churches is greater than what they receive. So it might sound to be a mind game, but it's not a mind game, but it's a fact. Because the church is a creation of God. So when the church comes, it means a creation of God will be visited by the image.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes.
Still, in that vein, I feel the business community has to chip in, because I think most of them don't really realize that Zimbabwe Prison Correctional Services is really protecting the business community from criminal elements, because they are the target number one for criminal activities. Criminals don't target people who do not have money, they target people who have got money. So the business community, they've got the money, they're the targets, number one targets for the criminals. So I feel they fail to realize the role that we play in protecting them, in protecting their businesses, empires. They fail to realize the role that we play in protecting their monies, their riches, and so forth. We are really protecting the business community. So I think the business community, you have to chip in. The moment they chip in, they provide something during such periods as Family Week. They can bring you goodies for the inmates. That will go a long way in ensuring that you achieve the incarceration part, you achieve the rehabilitation part, and you also achieve the reintegration part. Because one thing that is required by inmates, I can safely assure you, is love. They need love. So the churches and the business community must realize that there is a gap, there is a void that needs to be filled so that we can achieve our mandate of protecting the society from criminal elements.
Okay. Is it possible with the business community, the invitation that you are making to the business community, to maybe expand the way they help the prisons, in particular the businesses that are around Midlands and the farmers alike, in support of your initiatives? Why am I asking this question? As I was interviewing some of the inmates, they spoke about lack of resources in terms of going forward with their education. They would want to pay for exam fees, they want to pay for tuition and all those things, but some of them may not be able to do that. Are they welcome as business people to come and ask you if you have a list of people that need help in terms of paying for their fees?
Definitely they are welcome. The Zimbabwe Prisons and Correctional Services is open for business. Yes.
Okay.
They are welcome, because we have got some inmates who are willing to undergo those courses that I've mentioned, that have been undertaken into our workshop vocational training center. Inmates, they don't pay the fees that are paid by other students. They just pay the registration fees that is required by the ministry. But as ZPCS alone, we don't have such resources. Let's take, for say, an inmate is willing. He doesn't have that amount that is required by the ministry. Automatically, what that entails, that inmate will not enroll for that course. So
that derails the process of
it's derailed
rehabilitation.
The process of rehabilitation. Then that inmate is just released from prison, having done nothing. He goes out there, he reoffends, he comes back to prison. We would have failed as a nation in that aspect. So the business community is welcome to come on board.
Yes,
assist our inmates.
There's also a stigma. You spoke about the society having stigma towards the inmates. And there is also, I understand you have gone through a transformational process of punitive, right? And there is also a standard within the business community in terms of human resources, employment laws, where people look for criminal records. If I have a criminal record, I cannot be re-employed. What is it that is there in place in order to change that kind of an attitude? Because these people have gone through a rehabilitation program, and there's a total change of a total human being who is now able to live in a society without causing problems to to the communities.
Silvester, I think you've asked me a good question, but you as the media, you are the rightful people to lobby for a change regarding that law that prohibits former convicts from getting employed. We cannot do that alone, but I feel the media can lobby for that.
Okay, yes, thank you. I think me and my colleagues will take an opportunity to reiterate and make sure that we drive that home to maybe to the parliamentarians, to lobby that in the parliament for policy change, so that your efforts they don't have a bottleneck at the end of the day. After you have rehabilitated, you have equipped the inmates with skills, and then they can't find employment because of that barrier. Right. Are there any other challenges that you face as the Zimbabwe Prisons and Correctional Service in terms of people acquiring education?
Yeah, basically, we've got a challenge. We have got inmates who intend to undergo academic education, and also those who intend to go for tertiary education. There's a challenge of documentation. Some of them, they don't have birth certificates, they don't have national identity cards, which are a prerequisite when one intends to sit for O levels, to sit for A levels, to sit for exams under Execo. There are some inmates who never acquired a birth certificate, who never acquired a national identity card for the rest of their lives. So when you try to assist them to get such documents, there arise some issues where the RG's office requires the presence of some of the relatives so that one can be assisted. And at the end of the day, you find that some of the relatives are not willing to assist those inmates. So I feel there's need of some sort of a waiver by the RG's office for those people who are serving prison terms. They have to waive some of the requirements so that they can acquire their documents easily.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, and then you also spoke of the business community. You have a vocational training center here. Anywhere else in the world, or maybe tertiary institutions, they have challenges here and there in terms of equipping their workshops. Do you have such challenges here in order to facilitate fully the trainees with the proper tools in the workshops?
Yes, we have got a training school. The equipment is not yet up to scratch, so it's an area that we are working on, so that it gets to the right standard. But still, like what I've said earlier on, that we are open for business with anyone.
Okay.
So partners that are willing to assist may assist.
Okay, that's where the stakeholders approach comes in as well, so that you are not left alone.
Yes, a multi-sectorial approach is required in that aspect. Yes.
Okay, there are business community who are out there. Here, I'm talking to officer in charge at our medium prison, Superintendent Tine Isaiah Makereza. He's also appealing you to the business community to come and have a visit and see how you can also help them facilitate their workshops with the proper tools by buying them. We understand and we know that you have got a social corporate responsibility, and prison is one of them. There are so many issues that you can approach the prison and ask them which areas do they need help. As we continue with this conversation, Yeah, we understand that you have a number of inmates that are here, and some are serving short term, some are serving medium term, some are serving long term. In terms of facilitating their day-to-day life, do you still need help around those areas? I understand you have, even in the workshop, you're still teaching people pattern cutting and designing. They are sewing. We saw them sewing uniforms for themselves, things like that. Would you require assistance in those areas where also people buy materials that help the inmates go through such initiatives?
Basically, in as much as we are doing well in that aspect, but if well wishes come, we'll accept them. We'll take them on board. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Wholesomely, is there any burning issue in yourself that you would want us, the communities, to know, or the media to know, or the country, the nation at large to know about the relationship between prisons and the community, and where you need even more help?
Basically, I would like to say we need help mostly after rehabilitating our inmates. We release them back to the society. An inmate would have acquired the skills. Let's say yes, he is now a qualified motor mech, class 1, or is a qualified panel beater or spray painter. When that person goes outside, he doesn't have a starter pack.
Okay.
It becomes a real challenge because he have all the skills, but he don't have anything that can assist him to do anything when he's outside. So we are appealing to the business community to ensure that all our inmates who have gone through the mill, we have qualified, they get starter packs. If one is a motor maker and so forth, he gets a toolbox with all the tools, so that with this toolbox, when he moves around and he sees a broken down vehicle, he can easily repair that vehicle and get money.
Okay. All right, that's interesting. Starter packs are needed. There you are, business people. You can also chip in and help on that issue. Do you have living examples of people that have gone through this vocational training, that have been given their certificates, graduated, and they are working elsewhere after prison?
We have got one inmate who enrolled at our workshop. He did his trade test at a company in Gweru, a reputable company for that matter.
Right.
In Gweru. They offered him employment while he was still in prison.
Okay.
He got released from prison. Right now, as we speak, he's working at that highly reputable company. Yes.
And do you also make follow-up after he is released and is working for that reputable company? Thank God he's found employment after the rehabilitation program, to find the progress they are making within that organization, especially targeting the stigmatization between workmates within the same company, and also maybe how they managed to absorb him knowing he has got a criminal record.
Definitely, as ZPCS, you make your post-release follow-ups to check on them. Yes, that we do.
Okay, and what's the news from the guy you have just spoken about?
Very positive.
Okay.
Very positive. He's so excited. He's so happy.
And
he's so happy about himself. He's so happy about the Zimbabwe Prison Correctional Service in general, and our workshop in particular.
And the message from his superiors at his new workplace? What is the positive
Crime
message?
doesn't pay, but it paid me during my time in prison. I learned this. I'm now qualified, but I don't encourage people to commit offense. I did this out of ignorance. Okay. But in the same process, I got educated. I'm now a class 1. your journeyman.
Okay. Your last words to our viewers as we conclude this interview, Superintendent.
My last words to the viewers is that the ZPCS is open for business. We are willing to partner with you. We made a paradigm shift from the colonial system where prisoners used to come to prison as punishment and to be punished. Prisoners are now coming to prisons as punishment and to be rehabilitated. The rehabilitation that we are doing it for the nation. We are doing it for the community. We are trying to create a crime-free environment. So whatever we are doing is ZPCS. We are doing it for the community. We are doing it for Zimbabwe.
Thank you so much. There you are, viewers. Officer in charge for Wawa Medium Prison, Superintendent Tinei Isaiah Makereza, with whom we have been having a conversation just to have an insight of what is happening in the prisons concerning the educational opportunities they give to the inmates, the vocational training, and the skills that they impart to the inmates, so that when they reintegrate into the society, they can easily be re-employable in with those various skills. But however, he has highlighted that they need your support in order to achieve this initiative by the Commissioner General. I would like to say thank you so much for watching. There you are, the people that are in the Midlands and at the nation at large, the business community, not only the business community, even relatives. You are required and you are being invited to come and see your relatives here through the channels that are permitted by the prisons, so that they feel loved. It becomes a process of therapy for the prison, and also gives them an opportunity to realize that they are not regarded as outcasts, but they are loved. We will continue to give you programs from various prisons in Zimbabwe and insights from the correctional officers to tell us more of what is happening in those respective prisons. My name is Silvester on behalf of Tarumbidzwa Rudenya, our technical director here at our prison. I would like to say goodbye.